Hello and welcome apprentices. I am the Wizard of Winterhold, a laughing tombstone. No, I haven't lost my mind. Mostly because I never really had it in the first place. I noticed a bit of a misconception about Skyrim's armor and I wanted to help clear it up. When I asked a search engine what the best early armor is, I was surprised. Skyrim's best didn't make any appearances. Results were mixed but still fairly consistent. No one seems to agree. I don't know if I'm going to be showing a definitive answer here, but that isn't going to stop me from trying. I want to show off the power that steel has been hiding in plain sight this entire time and potentially save you several perk points by doing so. Yes, I said steel, the first material you could get a perk for double improvement. Let's compare steel to the best armor you could find at the start of the game, Ebony. There's a single pair of ebony boots you can steal from Narzulbur, the Orcish stronghold southeast of Kynesgrove. That flimsy basis is why I'm not trying to get a suit of steel armor to the same armor rating as unimproved ebony before level 5. As per usual, I have a few rules that I'll be working with. The first is, of course, a level rule. It wouldn't make sense for me to ask questions about low levels, then be at any sane level by the end of the video. Since enemies and loot are also leveled, this ensures some form of consistency with bosses and loot. I need steel smithing for this, so I'll seek out training in smithing as soon as I leave Riverwood and won't level up after that first time. The second rule is my normal mod rule. I'm using the 2011 edition of Skyrim with all 3 DLCs installed. To the best of my knowledge, a PlayStation 3 should be able to do this. The final rule is a build rule. If I'm asking about weapons and armor, I'm going to need to be a warrior to do this. I'm allowed to use any weapon or piece of armor I want to. The only method I have to use magic is through scrolls or enchanted items. I was considering just outright banning staves from use as a warrior, but I don't like just doing that. There is at least one in-game event that suggests that staves are enchanted weapons and not magic. It's also implied by the fact that staves grow the enchanting skill instead of a school of magic. That would make them perfectly valid for warriors, but that's also just a cheap way to get around not being a mage. So here's what I'm going to do. Scrolls are allowed because they vanish after a single use. That isn't casting magic, that's just dumb luck. Staves will be allowed as long as I do 2 things. The first is I can't recharge the staff. Once that charge is out, it's out. The second is that I'm not allowed to go out of my way for a staff. If it's either a quest reward or something I stumble over, I'm allowed to use it, otherwise it doesn't exist. With that said, I need a new character for this task. Homeless Joe is both a mage and probably over level 10 by now. Learning Larry will help prove the point, but he needs to come in at the end of the video to show off where this is going. This orc is ugly enough to peel paint, so he's in. Let's call him Sir Smash. I'm a heavy armor build, so I'm going to be taking a voluntary donation from this Imperial. This and a single bottle of mead are all I'm trying to take with me out of Helgen. Once we're at Riverwood, it's time to pick up my trusty woodcutter's axe and get to work. I don't even care if the tutorial is still going on. The only time I stopped chopping wood was when I knew I was about to get free stuff. Then it's back to chopping more wood. Why am I chopping wood instead of finding a smithing trainer? Because I'm going to keep chopping wood for a few hours. I'm not talking about hours in game either. I have at least 4 hours worth of footage of me chopping at this block. I've been watching the mill and know that Hod isn't here. After looking at his house, I find that he's been playing hooky because he wants to talk to me about the end of the world. Calm down, it's just the end of the world. You know everything's gonna be fine. Now that I can run again, it's time to go to Whiterun and join the companions. After the normal cutscenes to join up and receiving the introductory quest from Farkas, it's time to train my smithing. Yorland Greymane is a master trainer and is willing to train you even if you aren't quite a companion yet. This is the only time I'm planning on leveling up for this video. I got 2 levels on the journey to Whiterun. The stats go into health because warrior, and I have 2 perks to work with. The first one is obviously going to be steel smithing. This is an absolute requirement for what I'm doing. The second perk I want is the first point of Juggernaut. We're trying to get a suit of steel armor that has the same armor rating as normal ebony does. What that rating is doesn't really matter. We're interested in the comparison. Once I level up, I ask for more training. It's important to have at least 30 smithing before we proceed. This can fail if your smithing is too low. Now it's time to go to Valtheim and get rid of the bandits like Farkas asked. I was expecting to go brawl someone and come back quickly, but taking on half a dozen bandits sounds about the same, right? This is going to hurt. I went down at least 17 times doing this. Eventually I got tired of this cutscene with the first bandit, so I took her down and left before coming back for the rest. I don't think I can pick off these bandits one by one like that, so I need to storm the place. The way I won was a little bit of strategy and a lot of luck. There are 2 more warriors and 3 archers left. The first thing I want to do is activate Berserker Rage once I'm going after this archer here. Then I need to figure out whatever warrior gets up close next. Usually it's this armored tank. It can be this bandit chief, however, and he is the scary one. The only reason I was able to win was this. The old Skyrim prank of chucking a boss off of a cliff. After I land the final blow on the final bandit, it's time to loot the place and leave. Since we won, it's time to go back to Jorvaskr and report on our progress. After telling Skjor that Farkas doesn't seem to understand what's appropriate for new recruits, I was told to go talk to him again. I'm told we're supposed to go fetch a piece of Wuthrad. We will, but there's something I want to do first. I need to hand the Jarl of Falkreath the bottle of mead that we got at Helgen. He sent me over to Embershard. I was expecting to either be sent over to Bile Gulch or Knife Point. Oh well, let's go clear out a few bandits. On the way there, I picked up the Woodsman's Friend. You know what? Let's clear out the first dungeon I ever beat in Skyrim with the worst battle axe in the game. It worked perfectly. The first bandit went down before my shield brother could even step in. The ones inside didn't have what they needed to stop just me. I have one of the best tanks I can get by my side. This was easy. At the treasure room, I found the bandit's loot chest. Here's where I found a ring of fortified smithing. I was planning on becoming a werewolf and then starting the Forsworn conspiracy. Siding with the Silverbloods gives you this exact enchantment. Once the next room is clear of bandits, we can loot the place and take off. I think that's the fastest I've gotten Siggeir's permission to buy land. Since I'm here, I may as well disenchant everything I have on me, including the ring I got from Embershard. I want the fortified smithing enchantment. I don't actually care about the ring. Once I'm out of enchanted stuff, it's time to wake up the steward and tell her that the Jarl gave me permission to buy land in the middle of the night. After Nenya hands us a deed to our new property and directions out of her bedroom, it's time to make a house. I have enough to make an empty building with a garden out front. That garden is our real prize here. I know about a potion for anyone using two-handed weapons, including Sir Smash. We're going to need a few ingredients, so I spent a minute going around buying any Fly Amanita, Scaly Foliota, and Dragon's Tongue I could. Since I want to show off what these potions do at low levels, I need more than just 2 or 3, so I'm going to a few holes to get what I need. Once I have enough ingredients, both to plant a garden at Lakeview and to make potions, I go over to the Sleeping Giant and use their alchemy table. Here's what we get if we mix our ingredients. I call it a Vampire's Valor. Yeah, Regenerate Stamina was holding out on all of us this entire time. For a warrior like this, the Regenerate Stamina and Fortify Two-Handed means a lot. I think those effects can speak for themselves. The Resist Fire effects will help any build expected to fight a fire-breathing dragon. In Skyrim. For Sir Smash, the Fortify Illusion effect doesn't really matter. At most, you can use a full greenhouse and garden to farm 40 potions every time your crop grows. You need 10 plots of Dragon's Tongue, 10 plots of Fly Amanita, and 8 plots of Scaly Foliota. Once you're done, you should have 1 plot of fertile soil left over. While I was letting the garden grow, I did a bounty quest. We got sent over to the Silent Moon's camp to clear out some bandits. You might expect this to be harder than Valheim, but it wasn't. The boss is inside, and the bandits here are scattered. I did find a couple of stabs of the familiar on these bandits casting spells outside. I don't know why these NPCs didn't use the conjuration staves as their opening move, but that means I have a couple of staves to probably sell once the enchantment is drained. Once I finished off the bandits inside and out, it's time to check Lakeview's garden. This should get us enough Vampire's Valor potions for our dungeon. We're off to Riverwood to make some potions, and then it's time to clear out Dustman's Cairn. I want to use Skyforge Steel for this video, and clearing this dungeon is my ticket to Jorland selling it to me. I got lucky when Farkas dropped his sword. Here's a damage comparison between the two of us. I'm doing as much damage with his blade and a potion as he is with cheap iron. When we're done, it's back to the mead hall for a ceremony and a chance to buy wolf armor. We already have a Skyforge Steel greatsword, so I asked for a battle axe. With the steel, it's time to start getting the materials we need to improve it. We already got the Fortify Smithing enchantment from the bandits' hideout earlier, so we don't need to go to Markarth and get imprisoned for a ring. For this goal, we need 4 items enchanted with Fortify Smithing and 1 potion that has the same effect. Now that we have our potions, we need a few Fortify Smithing enchantments. Right now, the enchantments we can make with Grand Soul Gems are worse than what we could buy. So it's time to waste a few Grand Soul Gems. Filled Grand Souls are not hard to find, they're just hard to afford at low levels. Any of the 5 teachers of the College of Winterhold and any court wizard will sell you one. It's also possible to get either the Black Star or Azura Star at this point in the game. Here's a card if you don't believe me. While buying Grand Soul Gems, I was visiting other merchants to see if they were selling anything interesting. I found this at Belethor's shop. It's cheaper than a Grand Soul Gem and a little bit stronger than anything I can make. I would also believe you if you told me that you went from hold to hold looking for an enchantment just like this one. With that, I have 3 out of the 4 pieces of enchanted equipment I am allowed. I have no money and need 1 more Grand Soul Gem. Only one solution to this. That only took me an hour. After selling Holdo a small forest, it's off to Solitude so I can buy a blacksmith's apron and the last soul gem we need. After we're done enchanting, we can find somewhere to improve our equipment and see what happens. Improving our equipment brings it up to exquisite quality. The armor rating is a lot higher than I was expecting. 129 is pretty solid for a level 3 character. Let's find out how well this exquisite wolf armor holds up to regular Ebony. How am I planning on getting a suit of Ebony armor at level 3? With the superpower of cheating. I'm using the console to give myself a full suit of Ebony, and I'm using the console to get rid of it later, regardless of what happens now. Putting on the suit of Ebony armor shows that my armor value didn't change. I got my steel to match Ebony just like I wanted. I don't have any reason to put more than 2 perks into smithing now. Steel will grow faster than Ebony can until my smithing reaches 80 and I can get the Ebony smithing perk. If I choose to hard dedicate to steel, that gives me 8 perk points I don't need to put into my smithing. If you maintain your crafting skills, then by the time you can get the double improvement for Ebony, your steel should already be at the armor cap. That's just the armor rating. What happens if we compare an improved Skyforge battle axe to a normal Ebony one? Ebony is a scam. That endgame battle axe isn't even doing what my steel can. Taking this battle axe to a grindstone with the same setup didn't let it exceed what my steel was able to do. The lightest gear in the game is keeping up with some of the heaviest right now. Since we have this, and I've used the console to get rid of the cheated gear, let's test out what Yorland gave us. I haven't gotten to the halted stream camp yet, so let's clear that out and make the North of White run safe for a minute. Once I arrive, I use a potion, go into Berserker Rage. This is what my battle axe does when I'm like this. The scariest bandit outside was this mage who was able to take me down twice. Inside, their guard tank lasted about as long as water in a desert. Poor Orc didn't even get a shot in on me. The next room has 3 bandits, one of which is the boss and another is the mage. Those 2 are the biggest threat to me right now. I went down 5 times to these 3 bandits alone. The final time, I was able to maneuver myself in a position where the mage couldn't help the boss anymore. I also had several potions before going in. Once the boss was down, I was able to cover the distance between me and the second mage of this bandit camp. I've shown off how to make some decent gear at the start of the game, but I don't think I've quite proven my point yet. Between enchantments, steel smithing, and the Vampire's Valor potion, I've shown off what you need to ignore both weapons and armor perks. Here, let me prove it to you. This character is a vampire build, a mix between a thief and a mage. This character is not a warrior like Sir Smash. By all rights, pulling a blade and taking on these trolls should end me. It doesn't, but it should. Some of you may recognize where we are too. What, you thought I was going to lose 17 times to these bandits and not get revenge? This is what my armor looks like right now. This is why the Fortify Heavy Armor enchantment is in the game. My armor is only at the damage resistance cap because of that enchantment. This is what my sword is doing. If I drink a Vampire's Valor and a Mage Rage potion, something special happens. The Vampire's Valor gives us some big boy numbers for a damage value, and my enchantments are all destruction magic. They're empowered by a Mage Rage potion just like any other destruction spell. The enchantment is like using a potion of extreme healing every time I swing my sword. This is what my warrior trees look like. I have the full benefit from my smithing, enchanting, and alchemy trees every time I need my steel. As you can see, it doesn't matter that I've totally neglected all of my warrior perks. There still isn't really a difference between Larry and a properly perked warrior here. The most dangerous point I found was right here when the boss actually started to stand up for himself, until Bloodburner got a solid whacking and I used all the boss's health against him. Just to drive this point home, let's take on something a little bit bigger than a bandit. That probably counts. I'm gonna call him Potions the Dragon. Thank you for watching. If you would like to support the channel, please check out the Substack in the description below for a strategy guide I'm working on.